adjusted.
It say
Okay. We are live. We are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Meeko TV. Today we're sitting down with Dr. Tiffany Parker to talk about something that matters more than people realize. And guess what? That's mental health. A lot of folks are walking around smiling on the outside, but hurting on the inside. So today we are asking real questions and getting real answers and how to take care of our minds, our heart, and our peace. Let's jump in. Hello, Tiffany.
Hello, Meeko. How are you? Nice to
Wonderful,
see you.
great, wonderful, great.
Happy
So
Sunday.
happy Sunday, happy Sunday. And guys, before we start, we have over 1 million followers. So I know you guys gonna be coming on. Okay. Let us know where you're from, comment, like, and share. And if you're dealing with mental illness, um comment comment and I guys and I want you guys to let us know, okay? So let's dive in.
Yes,
Tiffany.
go ahead. So thank you all, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Meeko, for us sitting down having this conversation. I thought it was really important for us to address mental health, especially since it's Men's Mental Health Month, and it's the month that we celebrate Father's Day. So which is next Sunday, and so I wanted to just kind of recognize the men. I always see all these things online about how we go hard for Mother's Day, and
That's
then
right.
we're very lackluster for Father's Day. So I thought it's important to talk about not just men's mental health, but the mentality that we have where men are concerned.
So
And
let's
so
talk about it. So
let's
what
talk
does
about it. This is
so
Table Talk with Tiffany, where we
that's
turn the
right.
tables on lifestyle, food, and culture. So
Mm,
let's talk about it. Let's talk about
okay. So what does mental health really means when we say that?
Well, to me, I think mental health is just like your physical health. It is the state of your mind, and it is the strength of your mind. It is whether or not your mind is well or whether or not your mind needs to be healed. I mean, your mental health is basically, to me, just a state of your mind,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it
And
is
mhm,
interesting that you will, if a person has a broken leg, you are immediately trying to get that individual some help, right? But if a
right.
person has a broken mind or a broken mentality, then that's something that we'll shun people for. We don't take it as serious, and so I wanted to make sure that we recognize that today, to let people know that it's okay to get some help, to let men especially know it's okay to talk to other men. Dr. Donnell Cooper from the African American Men's Wellness Association, he has a whole group of individuals, men, and they get together and they talk about mental health, they talk about their physical health, talk about their financial wellness. As a matter of fact, they had an event this past Thursday here in Houston, over at Maestro's Barber Academy in Missouri City, and they got together, and of course they won't tell me what they talked about, but the little bits and pieces that I got was they had a great time with men, just sitting down talking to one another about issues that that affect you all. So
So let me ask you a question.
sure.
Uh why why is it important? Why is mental health important?
I
Mhm.
think in my world, having healthy men, having men who have a good mind, having men who have a healthy mental is important, because when the mind of our men break down, then it affects the family, it affects the community, it affects the whole world. And so I've worked with what they call high functioning men, and I can tell you for certain that it was tough watching them experience mental health crisis. I mean, every single one of them, they just, I mean, I think that men who struggle to just make it from day to day, to men who are very rich and people consider successful, they have mental health challenges. There's a challenge for not having enough, and there's a challenge for having what people would deem too much. And so I think that having seen both and having experienced it with my own father, I can tell you that I believe that if my biological father had had his mental health together, that drinking would not have been one of his vices. Using drugs would not have been one of his vices. Actually, going to prison would not have been one of his vices. My dad was a genius, and I believe that just because of the way that he grew up and alcoholism being a part of it, which in order for you to have an addiction, there's got to be some mental health challenges there. So for me personally, when we were talking about a topic for today, I thought, Father's Day, encouraging men to seek out, a healthy mindset. Um, it's just a good thing to do, because if you think about it, I mean, you're a father. If your mind crashed on you, what would happen to your children?
Well, I think I'm a
And now
father.
I'm
I haven't
the
done. I
question.
haven't done a. I haven't done a. I haven't done a DNA test, but yeah, I think I'm a father.
I'm gonna tell your kids on you.
Don't
Crazy,
tell them
look crazy self.
that. No, I'm playing. Yeah. So and um, Tiffany, I want to ask you a question.
I just asked you one.
I did. I told you. I don't know. I haven't done the DNA test yet.
Yeah, but I'm saying, okay, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the children that you've been taking care of, all the ones you've gotten through college, you've done all these things.
Yeah.
If your mentality hadn't been proper, if you hadn't had your mental health in check, then what do you think the state of your family would be?
Well, I think from that standpoint, as me being a leader of my family and all of my kids stand with me, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think
Hold
from
on,
the
Sonya,
head,
your kids stay with you?
yes, all of them, yes.
Wow. I'm just saying, go ahead, Meeko. I'm sorry.
So from me being the head of the family, I think
Mm-hmm.
everything starts off with me. So if I'm unstable, and then I think that it's gonna make everything else um, not stable.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that in a certain way where um, I make sure that I guard my space. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I make sure that I guard all of the negative thoughts. Okay, all of the negative people. Okay, um, I make sure that I'm guarded because I know that if from a standpoint of me being the head, that if I'm not balanced, and then everything else is not going to be balanced. So uh, mine is a very unique situation here, with me being a man and all of my children staying with me. So, but I enjoy every moment of it.
Right. And your
Yeah,
mental health is very important in that space. You're raising your children by yourself. And in order to do that, your mentality is different, right?
that's
You
right.
said it was unique. And then your mental health has got to be top notch, because if you can't give your children sound advice,
Yeah.
if you can't lead them in a way with a healthy mind, then your whole family will break down.
Well, the
We
thing is,
time
Tiffany,
and time again.
what is the thing too, Tiffany, that I talk to myself.
Me too.
So is my mental health fine? Because I do talk to myself, and I have a full blown conversation with myself, and sometimes I even argue with myself.
Sure. Who knows you better than you?
That's right. That's
I
right.
don't know. We can ask the audience. Is it cool? Do you think that people are not mentally healthy because they talk to themselves? I want to hear my voice more than I want to hear the voice of anybody, because I know me better than anybody knows me. As a matter of fact, I think you and I have spoken about this before. I record myself, and I talk to myself on recordings, and then I go back and I listen, because sometimes what other people say to me, it does not translate in a way that inspires me or encourages me. But one thing I'm not going to do is I'm never going to talk myself down. So I think from that perspective, I deem you as a pretty mentally healthy guy. So if talking to yourself does it, sometimes you need to have a conversation with yourself like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. And
you
the thing
remember the
is,
last time you did this? What happened?
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, Tiffany, being a father means carrying the weight of the world while trying to smile for your kids. It's about, waking up early, going to work, solving problems, hiding stress, and still being strong enough to say, I love you at bedtime.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Wow, that's powerful. That means that you have figured out what that balance looks like, because bringing home the stress of the world and putting it on your children when they clearly don't understand it because they haven't experienced it. All they know is that you got them here, and it's your responsibility to make sure that while they are under your care, that you're providing the absolute best opportunity for them. You know the resources that you can provide for them, and that's why I wanted to talk about that this month, because I don't know if men know how it affects the mental of their children when they abandon them. And
Mm,
I'm not talking about in situations where, people are like, hey, the mother won't let me see him, or I'm estranged from him, or, any of those unique circumstances. I'm talking about everyday average men who have children that they have access to, that they don't, that they're not in relationship with. I'm wondering if that's a mental illness, because I'm not real sure that a person who brings a child into this world, who sees somebody who looks like them, you
mhm,
know, who's gonna act like them,
mhm.
who has their DNA, that they can know that they exist and they don't have a relationship with them. They are not, um, um, they're not adamant about trying to take care of them. They're not trying to nurture them. They're not trying to grow them. They just know they have children that they are not seeing about. And I'm just wondering, do you think that that's a form of mental illness?
Well, this is the thing. Is because too many fathers are walking around with wounds that they've been told to ignore. Fathers who were abandoned as sons, they're not trying to repeat the cycle, but the cycle seems to be repeated over and over again, is because we've been taught to not show our wounds.
Okay. I can definitely see where that would affect an individual's ability to, operate at the fullest as a father. I guess I'm just looking at it from a perspective of, because my mama did whatever. And I'm sure she was probably like, I want to abandon these kids, especially me. But she just didn't. And so, I used to tell my father before he passed away, God rest his soul, I was like, you know, I don't, I can't imagine what your excuse for is for not doing what my mama did. My mama was young and beautiful, and she was vibrant, and she could have lived a different life and chose to make a decision not to parent us as well, but she didn't. She made the sacrifice to do it. And so I was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. And then as children, you start to wonder what's wrong with me, that I have a parent, a mother or a father. We're talking about fathers in particular in this world, and he does not think enough of me. He got me here, but he don't think enough of me to be in relationship with me or nurture me while he's here. Now I was so good. I'm so thankful because I had people, like I said on my post, some people had a stepfather. I had a whole ladder. Like
Mhm.
I got a good um stepfather. He was, supportive, and he made sure that our family was straight. And I'm just thankful that I had that in my grandfather and in my uncles, and then I had, older cousins, and then when my aunts got married, they married good men. So I just have had great relationships with men in my life that helped nurture me and grow me along the way, that stood in the gap for my dad. But it was his responsibility. And when I got old enough to let him know, I let him know that it was his responsibility. And he told me that he did the best that he could. I just said, "Now you did all that you were willing to do, but I don't think you did the best that you could." So, from a girl standpoint, We just don't understand anything except you should have been there. And it matters. I'm
Well,
telling you.
these are the questions that some of the people sent in.
Okay,
Okay.
what they say? What they say?
It says, I didn't have a father, so I never learned how to be one. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Second one is somebody sent in. They said that I was trying to get my life together first, especially if you're 16, 17, 15.
Right.
Next, so I think somebody put in, your mama made it hard for me to see you.
That's what I was talking
That,
about. Those
you
are
see
some.
that?
Those are some tough.
Yeah, we have a
Those are
special
some
Tiffany, we
circumstances.
have a special guest here too.
Okay, who's
Yes.
that? Hey, it is the incomparable.
How's it going, guys? I cannot hear you guys. Let me try to get some sound right on here. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you. Can you hear us now, Rob?
I cannot hear you guys.
You can't hear us. I see.
I don't want no technical difficulties now. Let's see how we do this here.
We can definitely.
Okay, I'm going to get real close. You guys going to get a close-up so I can try to hear you.
Okay.
You want to go out and come back in?
I can't. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so while he's coming back, they said that I was too young and didn't know what I was doing. Now, if you're just coming on, we're talking about men who left their children, and I don't know how we got on this topic, but I'm real glad that you guys sending in your questions. And it says that I was dealing with depression and I shut everyone out. And I'm gonna go over two more. And we can grab maybe like one or two of these.
Okay.
Another person says that I kept telling myself I called tomorrow, and then next thing I know, it was 20 years. That makes sense?
Sorry. It does. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And then this is one guy came in and says, I was just doing what I saw growing up. What's your thoughts, Tiff? That's good, Tiff.
That's good stuff. Can you hear us now, Robert? Can you hear us, Rob?
Y'all, if y'all looking at Rob, I want everybody to cash out Rob because he may need some extra money for his phone bill. I don't know if he's on Cricket.
That boy on that Motorola two-way pager.
That's right. I think Rob on the flip phone, y'all.
Stand with Rob Slayter. Get him a flip phone tomorrow.
Yeah, let's see if we can hear.
Now we can't hear you, brother. Now we can't hear you.
I think his mic is on mute. That's why.
Your mic is on mute. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Can you hear us? Can you
hear us?
Yes,
how's it going? Yes, I can.
Hey, y'all. First of all, we're going to say it again. Welcome to Table Talk with Tiffany. And I don't know how we started having such a serious conversation on the very first episode, but it's a great conversation, and it's Men's Mental Health Month, and we're honoring fathers because we'll be celebrating Father's Day next Sunday. And so I am among two great men, two good fathers. And so I was just kind of, talking about some of the things that will affect the family if a father's mental health is not intact, Rob. And you're a big advocate for great fathers. You're a big advocate for mental health among men and all people through the Culture Commission. And I think it's okay for me to highlight the fact that you're also the future congressman running for the 18th district. So
yes.
To have this conversation with you. But so what is your first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I kind of told a little bit, but I'm being very modest. Can you go ahead and shoot your shot?
I appreciate it. I'm a father of three. I'm a 25-year-old, an 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old. I am running for Congressional 18 in the district in Texas, running for Congress. I'm also a business owner, restaurant owner, certified executive chef. But more so, I'm just a regular guy. Like I tell people, there's not a statistical box that exists that I cannot check. From homelessness, I was incarcerated, I was in trouble, I was gang member, da da da, but also was a success story. So this is a great topic that you're talking about today, Ms. Parker, and I think that is very important and crucial to have these type of discussions, especially amongst Black men. And not to get too far ahead of any questions or dialogue, but the pressure, shall I say, that a Black man endures is one thing, but I think for me, it's the asking for help if something feels off. That we have to encourage our brothers to a safe place to do more with our, our wives, our significant other, our family. And as our kids look upon us and how we do things, we want to be strong for our family. We want to be strong for our kids. But somewhere in that equation, vulnerability is not a part of that equation and equates to strength. And we got to change that dialogue, because it's important, especially for young boys and kids, to know that if something is off, if you're concerned about something or confused about something, or something doesn't feel right, it's okay to communicate that without displaying, any kind of weakness. So.
Oh yeah, that's great, and that's what Meeko and I were just talking about. A few people had asked some questions, and so maybe you can help me, because I'm definitely not trying to answer questions that from a man about a man and his children. So one guy said that he was going to call tomorrow, and tomorrow turned into 20 years. Another person said that he was trying to get himself together, and then another person said that he didn't know how to be a father because he didn't have one. And we were talking a little bit earlier, and I think that was kind of my dad's story too, was that because he was so poorly parented from a man's perspective, he was raised by his grandmother and his mom, that I think when it came time to raise us, it was easy for him. I don't know if it was easy for him or not to, in my opinion, choose another life over taking care of his children. And we were always very close. I mean, we were very, very close, but I was more like the parent to him. And so I don't know if men understand when they put their children in that predicament, they put them out in the world at a disadvantage. And it didn't translate so badly or poorly for me, but for other women and girls that I knew, not having a father, other boys and men that I knew as well, not having a father present in the home, it made a difference. And I just think that having this conversation just opens the way up for us to get some resolve to it. I mean, it's not like a problem that can't be resolved. I mean, it's something that men like you and men like Meeko and other men that I know, it's something that you guys can get together and talk about for sure, um, so that we can do better in this space. And so I'm trying to read some of the comments as well. Meeko will come back and read them, but um, tell me how the family kind of broke down in that way. Was it mental health? Was it perspective? What was it?
It's we are still enduring residual economic injustice in the Black household. Think about it. I mean, civil rights, the movement as a whole is not even 60 years old. There's some people, a lot of people that was alive then that's alive now that saw two different lives. But the economic disparity is crushing upon a Black household. For instance, the Black man makes 80 cents to the dollar towards his white counterpart. The Black woman makes 60 cents to the dollar towards the Black counterpart. 75% of minority men in prison or in jail grew up in a fatherless household. So if you look at that math, if the father is not in the household, that woman loses the 80% from the man, as well as her 20% difference. And she's almost 100% down from the Caucasian couple, the counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything is not a choice. For some reason, when you're dealing as a Black man, our manhood equates to our value on where we are in life, how much money we have, what can we provide for. And so when it's a Black man, I feel, in my opinion, that when you're up against that, when you're trying to figure your life out and trying to be successful, one thing that you lack is planning and proper planning. Where your counterparts, the white people, they plan for a family structure. They build and they prepare for it. We wasn't taught that, or something happened to happen while we're still trying to figure out our life. So a lot of variables plays into it. And I'm not defending the fathers, so I'm not defending none of that. And I'm not even asking for empathy. I think that we, as a culture, we have to understand the environment and the way that the black man is set up, where we're trying to figure out our place in this world, what value we have, therefore by default what value we can give to our family. If we are devalued, how can we overvalue our family subconsciously? So it's a lot of education, it's a lot of mentoring and therapy that's needed, and we just got to start healing. We got to
Oh,
start healing.
I agree. Sonya, hey, how's it going?
Hey, how y'all
Hey,
doing this
Queen, how
evening?
you doing? Yeah, we were just kind of talking about. Look, I don't want to seem like a subject matter expert in this space, but I can tell you that I have some experience here, some great experiences, and I can tell you that before my mom remarried and my stepfather was, present in the home. I mean, we had a great time because she did everything she could to make sure that it didn't appear that we were without anything. But I did feel a certain way when people showed up, and it was their whole family. It was their mama, their daddy, the kids. It was just a beautiful thing to see. And I'm not stating that they turned out any better than me or they turned out any different from me, but at that time it looked like they were whole. And I encourage men to be in their children's lives as much as I can, because I hear a lot of things, like, well, the mama tripping, the grandma tripping, but does the child understand that you have an excuse as to why you aren't present and accounted for? And so I know that there's some wild stories out there. I hear some wild stuff. I've seen it, heard about it. And my question is like, God, Lee, do you understand how that's going to affect your child in the long run? I'm not talking about the men side. I'm talking about women. We have to take responsibility as well, because we utilize that, that, I don't know if it's an advantage. I don't know if we utilize how it's being used, but it's used against. You think that you're doing it to the man, but you're really doing it to your child ultimately. So, when I wanted to approach this topic, I talked and turned about it last night because I was like, is it a mental illness for men not to be present in their children's lives? Because what is it in your mind that would make you think that that's not important? And Meeko had mentioned earlier, he said, well, some men might not show up because nobody showed up for them. And I'm saying, okay, but do you remember how that felt to you? So you want to put that same feeling on your own child? I would think that the fact that you felt that way means that you don't ever want your children to feel the way that you did by not having a father present. I don't know, Rob. You could speak to that. I could see you over there. I know you. Go ahead, man. Just go ahead. Slice it up.
Well, I think a couple of things I just want, because this is a great topic, but we also got to be careful with kind of overextending,
Overgeneralization. I'm
shall I
not
say,
trying
the numbers
to.
on how much those cases are actually the case. Some men are incarcerated, some men financially, can't, and some, just excuse my language, are just assholes and deadbeats that just don't care. But at the end of the day, the topic is about the child. I think that the woman must be responsible in how she speak about that man in his absence to that child. I think it was a study that showed that, believe it or not, a lot of kids grow up to resent their mother because if the father's not there, he hear the mother talking negative, but in his mind, because the father's not there, he gets to create this avatar of what a great guy this is, and then he subconsciously blames the mother for running the father away. It must be your fault. So therein, in effect, he's having a disrespect for women as a whole because of that. So I think it's important what you put into the seed of your child's mind, about the father not being there and talking to them about the cases. It'll actually circumvent a lot of these issues. We can't beat up the fatherless father, when he's hold him accountable, but a lot of those things are personal between the mom and dad that's not reconciled, and it, inadvertently affects the child.
I've never heard about the fatherless father. Oh, Okay, that
If
matters.
I want to,
Go ahead,
if
Meeko.
I
You
want
got.
to chime in on this, so
Go ahead. Go ahead. I know you got a lot of comments. I see a
yeah,
lot of comments. Go ahead.
and I'm gonna mute Sonya Hightower's mic. It seemed like somebody's in the back cutting grass, Sonya. Um, so I
She
give
got her
me,
Beyonce fan on. She want
I
to
see,
have a vote.
I see. Um, where it pertains to men, I don't really judge the boys who had kids 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Now, 20 years later, they're going to be 40, right? But they made the mistake in their teens or when they were kids. Sometimes I think women hold men accountable of some things that they did when they were kids. So grace happens because we all done some things at 15, 16, and 17 that now we was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So grace comes in at because a child doesn't know how to be a father. Okay.
Right. Right.
So give that man some grace, Tiff. He
I
was
ain't get.
16. He
I
was he was 17, 18, 19, 20. He didn't have no job.
Hey, my daddy was in the 12th grade,
See?
and when my brother was born, and and my brother's mom was in the 12th grade, and by the grace of God, my brother was adopted by some amazing people, and he is a prominent attorney, and he is well rounded, and he's that guy, in my opinion. I wish that we had grown up together. I met him in my 30s and realized we call each other twin because we're so much alike, and we have been in rooms together, right? Me and him have been in rooms together, y'all. We do almost the same thing, short of him being an attorney, and we did not know that we were siblings. So when we get on pictures, we look alike. We got the same gap in our teeth. We laugh alike. We dislike the same things. We like the same things. As I said, we kind of have the same aspirations in life, and we both talk about what a travesty it would have been if we had not known each other. However, we both agreed that my father had no business raising us. Now, I wanted a dad. I wanted him to be present, but my mother knew that the way my father was raised and the direction that he was going in his life, that he didn't need to raise us. He especially didn't need to raise me. So, um, with that being said, sometimes things just happen that way. My dad did his part. He got me here, right? And I'm very, very thankful for that. So, Meeko, am I being harsh, Rob? Sonya, am I for real? In what way?
Well, I think that, I'm not too harsh. I understand, but again, if a father's not in a child's life, is that a mental health issue? That's
I
kind
mean,
of harsh. It's it's an economic issue. It's a lack of teaching. It's so many issues that can be addressed. And I guess if you connect it to mental health, um, again, some men constantly just say, hey, that's not my kid, don't want to be that kid, that's fine. But I think then that, as both parents, the mother as well, we got to start making better decisions who we're having kids with. Vet these things out ahead of time to make sure you have that foundation
oh, but
before we
I'm
bring
harsh.
children
But
into the
I'm harsh.
world. So I think that more to the structural foundation of family building, it's a collective conversation we need to teach our young men and women to make sure that, both individuals are prepared to bring a child into the world, or the curse is going to keep on happening. So we have a lot of work to do.
That's
We
good.
have a lot of work to do. Sonya, you have anything you want to add? Help your girl out here, y'all. There go the incomparable Sonya Hightower. I wish I could use my avatar right now and disappear. Man, it be the business. Go ahead, Sonya.
I would say probably thinking, we're looking at it through the lens of a female, right?
Yeah.
And the way that we wanted our fathers present in our lives. My dad was here with us until I think I was like in the 8th grade, and then he and my mom split up. I witnessed, in my opinion, I witnessed my dad put another family in front of us, because she had kids. So it was like him and her family, and then it's my sister and I and my mom over here on this side. And so from my thing, I think that I thought from the female lens that they got the best part of him, even though he was there, everything I had, he never missed anything for me. He was always there, always still very present. So I think it's a conscious decision on the individual's part, whether they've seen it or not. Now, we could say that in the community, we don't see it. The young men don't see it. The fatherless father, they don't know how to be a man because the man hasn't been in the house. Yet, I struggle to believe that there has not been not one somewhere that you could have maybe gleaned something from, or just maybe that sense of right and wrong. And I guess that's coming from that mother thing, and that's natural for a woman. I would say even with my husband, who's passed on now, when we were younger, he had his first child very young. They were very young. And I could say that when we got together, he really wasn't present in that kid's life until I said, look, you're not going to be sitting over here with me, and that kid is over there, and you're not in that child's life. So I think there is a lot to say about the females in a man's life when they come into that life, whether they, you can't be in here in my life and then you not even take care of your kid over there. So I want to push to make sure that you see the kid, that you talk to the kid, that, we make sure the kid has what they need for school and all that kind of stuff. So then I would think it's just that natural nurture thing that comes from a woman that doesn't, maybe, I won't say it doesn't come from a man, but it's more natural for women. So I think we see it in a different lens. We see it as a not wanting to, as opposed to not being capable of.
Tiffany, somebody just brought this in, and I'm gonna read it to you. It says
Oh,
that
Lord. Go
it
ahead.
says that sometimes young men don't stay in their kids' lives not because they don't love them, but because no one ever showed them how. They said they're scared, they're lost, they're trying to survive in a world that never gave them the tools to lead, love, or heal. They said give them grace, not judgment. Grace doesn't excuse the absence, but it also opened the doors for growth. Because the truth is, some young fathers are still boys inside, wounded by their own father's absence. Instead of canceling them, let's challenge them. Instead of shaming them, let's show them. Healing starts with grace, and grace can save a generation. What do you say
Yeah,
about that, Tiff?
that's exactly what I wrote. Does that my name on it? Whatever, Rob.
Rob, so what
And
you got
I,
to say
I
about
think
that,
if I
Rob?
made that's a very, it's just the truth. And let's talk. Let's keep it real, Miss Tiffany. The pressure exists for grown men today, right? Most women wouldn't date a man unless he got XYZ, some type of money threshold. The man is supposed to pay for this and pay that. If he don't have no money, he don't get no play. And unfortunately, imagine a young child with a young girl and they have a kid. If I may say, a young lady will get all of the help from the family, from baby showers to empathy and grace. She's a young woman, XYZ. The first thing they're gonna look at that boy and say, what you gonna do now? You gotta get a job, son. And how I know, because I was him. I had my son at 17. I was in high school. His mother was a track star, had a full ride scholarship to TSU. I dropped out of school the beginning of my 12th grade year so she could go on to and continue her TSU scholarship. That began my hustling days, my selling drugs, because I'm gonna take care of my son, and I gotta take care of him now. I gotta get some Pampers and some Similac. If you know, those cans be $4 or $5 back. I don't know what they probably still the same now, but I thought I was doing the right thing, and then I'm getting incarcerated and been out of my son's life for 10 years. So some young boys and men try to figure it out, and they end up messing up more than they can. But to the comment, the tools are not given to us. The support is not there, even though we have family. The pressure is always prevalent, however, though.
No, It's true. It's true. No, I can agree wholeheartedly with that. I didn't even realize I was being harsh. I thought I was being so compassionate and showing grace. And I mean, I support the brothers. I was just suggesting that you and Meeko, give some strategy. Both of you all have been successful parents. Meeko parents his children alone. I'm not saying that he parents them alone, but they live with him, which is unusual. And then Rob, I mean, you've had a successful career, like you said. You've been through a lot of things, and you managed to stay in relationship with your children, and it's been your choice. I mean, I was just, Sonya. I was just.
What you have to say, Sonya?
Well, I think, I take my nephews as an example, who did not have their fathers in their lives as they were growing up. Both of them are fathers now and very, very active in their fathers' lives, much to the fact that Tiff was talking about earlier, where, I didn't see it, but because I didn't see that, and because I know how it made me feel, I'm going to make sure that I'm there for my kids. I don't know that there'll ever be a happy medium when it comes, really, from the male perspective and the female perspective, when it comes to the men being in the lives of the kids. I don't know that there's really going to be a happy medium, because I can see both sides of the coin. I can see both sides of it. Our young men do need examples. They do need examples. They do need to be taught. They do need to understand what it means to bring a child into this world, and not, you just all over the place, just doing stuff all over the place. You got babies all over the city, which causes a bigger problem for yourself. So I don't know. I know that they do have some mentorship programs, but maybe that's something that we need to look into, maybe putting back into the high schools for sure, because I'm in middle schools, and unfortunately we do still have kids that young, middle school, having children, but definitely in the high schools, where it's probably a little bit more, you're going to see that a little bit more, where we have those mentorship programs in there for those young men, so that they can start to learn those, especially those that don't have that example at home.
Do they still have homemaking in school?
No, ma'am.
What? Rob,
they've taken just about all the trades out of there. Yeah.
That's something that we're going to have to think about, because my fake husband in high school, they gave us an egg. Did y'all do that? They gave us
we did too.
We had to take that. We had to. Me and
had to tend to that egg. Had to take care of that egg. Yeah, we did.
Like, oh yeah, we had an egg. We had we met. We dated. We got engaged. We got married. We had to put a budget together. We had to
do that. They don't do that anymore.
And then we had a kid, and then I had to take care of that egg for like a whole week without breaking it. And it was
wow.
It was a lot, but it was very, very. He and I both agreed. I think we were well above, what we should have been at that age, because he and I both agreed, like, man, this gives us a completely different perspective. Like, your life, drastically when you have a child. And I think it's something that we definitely need to start talking to our young men about, the responsibility. And then, Rob, from your perspective, I know with the Culture Commission and with the fact that you're the future congressman, how do you see yourself? What do you see that we can do as a community to help, in the healing process, but also in the helping process? Because if we can get ahead of it for the next generation that's coming along, what do you see yourself doing? Because I'm gonna tell you the truth, like, I have seen, this is so crazy, like with the men that I've worked with, professional athletes and entertainers, their children's cry is that you weren't there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But and their fathers were rich and famous, and their complaint is that you weren't there. And all of them said, "Listen, I was out trying to make a living for you," but as a child, they still didn't understand. Now, I always say, now you like all of the financial benefits that come along with your father's career, but you wanted him there. So it's like, unfortunately, in certain spaces, you can't have both, not in totality. So what do you see that we could do, or what is it that you plan to do in order to try to eradicate this, so that it's not something that's, it's a repetitive cycle? I know that we're probably not able to cure all of it, but what is your idea?
No, absolutely. We actually have some plans, as a candidate. going to announce some plans a little after June 14th that are bill ready. And first and foremost, me personally, I think we need to push the church or faith base back to the forefront. Over the last 10 to 15 years, we got away from that. Whatever your faith is, we furthered the gap of church and state. We have to have some type of moral compass to be the baseline, to build something upon. And in the past, the church, for the most part, was always kind of that foundation coming up in the church. It did help, and it did assist. Hey, secondly, we as a people must change our perspective of what's happening in today's politics. It's like we're living in Revelations, but when time repeats itself, it's also going to be the time of Genesis, meaning that we have an opportunity to rebuild. I'm not fazed by Mr. Trump or the Republic. I don't even get into that. My point is that this too shall pass. What we're going to do when it's time to rebuild, we're going to get a chance to rebuild the Department of Education.
Right.
A system that really wasn't built for us in the first place. What is that going to look like? Who are we going to have at that table when building that to make sure that this time around we have some skin in the game? I dare do say, whether side you feel on the HISD voucher program, if you're for or against, not even debating that aspect, but I will tell you this. If you mean to tell me there's an opportunity, if we change the way we look at this, right now legally and funded, we get to start possibly an African-American school district or a school district for minority that can bring back all of those type of electives and African history and culture.
We can't hear you.
I think he just put his mic on mute. He had to. There we go.
Okay. Okay, can we hear now? Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, there we
Can't hear.
Yeah.
No, we can't hear you, Rob. We can't hear you. My apologies, but he was about to go off, and I was glad to hear because
I was ready to hear, ready to hear what he had to say.
It's just the truth of the matter. I mean, we need to return to our faith, and that was one of the biggest aspects for me. I know people have a lot of have a lot to say about the church, right? They have a lot to say about the church. But for me personally, what I can say is that the church was a safe haven for me. And but my mother was a gatekeeper as well. She didn't allow that to be our total influence. The church was a piece of the pie. It was a piece of our life, of her making sure that we were whole. It wasn't the whole thing. And so I learned a lot. I learned a lot about men and about family and faith and everything else. I learned it in my church. I really did. And for the men that knew that my mom was a single mother after she and my dad divorced, I mean, they stepped in. They looked out for me. They were just very nurturing towards me, and my faith is a big part of why I think that what took place with my dad being absent when he was absent. I think that a big part of the reason why I still found a way to be whole in many spaces is because of my faith. I had strong men of faith around me. I just did. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Go ahead, Meeko.
Tiff, while we're waiting on Rob to come back, I just want to give a shout out to some of the comments that we had. Hello, Gregory. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Hello, Kevin. Ross. Daryl. So we have a question that came in. They said, do you think some women push good men away without realizing it? If so, and how? And there's 4 questions that came in, but I want you to answer that real quick, Tiffany.
Of course.
Sonya.
Oh yeah.
And of course. Like I'm not gonna vouch for the sisters where the sisters can't be vouched for. Like I would never sit here and say that I have not seen it. I've seen it from the most successful women to women who work everyday jobs. I have seen them utilize the fact that they had a child with somebody that they aren't with anymore. I've seen them push away men that were willing to be present, who were capable of being as competent as people could be, considering the circumstances. And I've seen them just push them away for whatever
Okay.
reason. I don't know if that, I mean, all I could say it was a manipulative move. It was a move to manipulate a man and control him in that space, knowing that he wanted to be with his child or wanted to care for his child, and you didn't allow it. I mean, you're wrong. Bottom
Yeah.
line, that's wrong. It's
Yeah,
wrong.
you do have a lot of females that are guilty of that, and I think it stems from not understanding how to love properly, period, themselves or anybody else, and being able and using that child as a weapon, because I've been in that situation too, where the child was used as a weapon against my husband, because he didn't do what she wanted him to do at that time. And again, it's about your values. It's about the way that you think of yourself. It's the way that you interact with people around you, and whether or not you were a recipient of real love, and even understanding what that means. A lot of us, unfortunately, a lot of ladies, young women, will get into, I'm having a kid, and then that means that this guy's going to be here with me forever, not understanding that having a kid is not it. It's the work that still has to be done. Work on you, work on him, work with the child. All of that stuff still has to be done. So yeah, I definitely think that there are some people of female persuasion that are very manipulative when it comes to
Not
that.
female persuasion.
Female persuasion, absolutely.
Okay, we have a
Masterminds. Go ahead.
so we have another one.
Go ahead.
How much it says, how much pressure do women put on men to be perfect providers, and does that make them shut down or walk away? Talk
That's
to
a
me.
good question.
Talk to me.
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
Who presented that question? I bet you did. Drop a name. Let's see. I got to be very careful because I am being accused of being insensitive. Okay. How much pressure do women put on men to be perfect providers? A lot. Okay. I will admit to that. And does that make them shut down or walk away? Absolutely. And the reason why I say that is because women are under a lot of pressure too, but this ain't what about ism, right? This ain't what about us. What about the fact that we got it? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say yes. Women put a lot of pressure on men to be perfect providers. And do I understand why some men walk away? Or do I understand why some men shut down? Absolutely. In my case, my daddy was not under pressure to be a perfect provider. He was under pressure to not drink and drug and mishandle his wife. That's the only pressure that he was under. He and my mother were young, and he had a perfect little cute little family, and he he just decided that growing with us was going to be tougher than reverting back to a life that he was already familiar with. So, do I give grace to people who shut down and walk away because they can't handle the pressure? Sure. Is it a good excuse that doesn't provide any results? Sure.
Sure.
Sure. Meeko, was that decent?
Yes, that was decent. And this is the last one
Go ahead.
because they coming in, and this is real good. They say, and this is to Sonya and to Tiffany, and this is to like everybody, right? It says that, is your love a safe space or a war zone that made him run for peace?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I would say that that definitely makes a difference. That definitely makes a difference. Go ahead, Tiff. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You got this.
I think that definitely makes a difference, but I want people to understand, because sometimes you have a lot of men saying, well, you need to be my peace, you need to be my safe space. But is the peace and the safe space that you're asking for from her reflective of what you're giving her? Because everybody can say, yeah, does things thrive? Things thrive in safe places. Relationships thrive in safe places where there's peace and there's open communication and all that kind of stuff. And yes, being someone that's raising hell all the time and doing all, they'll drive anybody away. Don't nobody want to be around somebody that's raising Cain all the doggone time. So I do believe that if you provide a safe space, but when you're getting in a relationship with someone, that's a question that you need to ask them. What defines a safe space for you? Mm-hmm. Because what defines a safe space for me may not be the same thing that defines a safe space for someone else. Mm-hmm. For a man, a safe space might be, okay, well, you're here, you're in the house, you're protected, I pay the bills, da 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 da. That's not necessarily a safe space where a female is concerned. Because her safe space may be, I need you to be emotional. I need to be able to come to you. I need to be able to talk to you, and you protect my heart and my feelings as well. So I think that's something that needs to be talked about. That's not talked about in relationships before you even bring children into this world. What is your definition of what your safe space is?
That's a really good point to bring up. And it says, is your love a safe space, or is it a war zone that made him run for peace? That is a good question for people, to ponder. I mean, I think as women, we try to provide a safe space, and we hope that we can have an atmosphere that's created where, a man does not run because because it's a war zone. I think that when people get in that space, especially when children are involved, being equally yoked matters. Mm-hmm. When you start talking about procreating, and then you don't consider how that person was raised, and that person doesn't consider how you're raised, and then you're talking about nurturing another human, and you all are not on the same page, then you're going to have a confused creation. You just are. Mm-hmm. And Daryl said it has to be a healthy balance from the beginning. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Mr. Cotton. That's all I've been trying to say, is that a healthy balance from the beginning has to be something that's discussed. I don't know that people have the opportunity to do that when they're in the heat of the moment creating children. Hold up.
They don't think about it. They're not thinking about it. That's the last thing on their mind. Even when they're dating, questions aren't asked in the dating world. Those questions that you need to know about an individual. And people say that you sound old fashioned, but you need to know this person before you lay down with them. Because you need to know, how when we get into a disagreement,
because you might get up with a whole kid.
Yeah. How do you argue? What is your safe space? What is your idea of a happy home? And when you don't have those things, you're guessing. You're shooting your shot in the dark. You have no idea what that is. Yeah, it's always physical in the beginning and not a conversation, which is why our nation is in the situation that it's in right now, with these broken homes and all that kind of stuff. And we're sitting here having these types of conversations because the necessary conversations are not had before. And I'm not going to sit here like I'm Saint Sonya or somebody and say that I had those conversations, because I didn't. Mm-hmm. I didn't have those conversations. Thank God I didn't have children. And in that particular instance, I did not have that conversation. The person that I did have children with, though, I knew inside and out, like we were together from how we were high school sweethearts all the way up until the day that he passed. So, I knew him before we even had children, but that's not the case. I would say 95% of the time, that is not the case. That is somebody that you met in the club, somebody you met at the mall, at the gas station. He thought you were cute. You thought he was cute. Y'all go out on a couple of dates. He took you to Papacitos, and here you go. You ready to go. You ain't asked not one question. You want to know what's your favorite color, what's your sign, what's your all those cute elementary questions, when you need to be asking those questions if you're looking towards a relationship, or you plan on laying down with this person, you need to know who you laying with.
Meeko, what do you say to that?
I say as we close,
Yeah.
I say sometimes men don't leave because they don't care. They leave because their mental health is collapsing under pressure,
Mhm.
and they don't know how to ask for help. And sometimes women aren't trying to hurt them, they're hurting too, just in a
Mhm.
different way.
Mhm.
With both sides are unhealed, love turns into survival mode. But it doesn't have to stay that way. We've got to stop fighting each other and start fighting for each other. Mental health is not a weakness, it's the foundation of every strong relationship. Men, if you're overwhelmed, speak up. Women, if he's trying, don't shut him down. And if either of you needs help, get help. Talk
Mhm.
to someone, pray with someone. Tiffany will pray with you. Tiffany prayed with me. But the only thing is when Tiffany prays for you, she wants an offering. But on the serious note,
Pray for pay.
Pray and pay.
right, pray for pay.
He
Leave your
lying,
cash out.
y'all. He is lying.
Okay. Pray with someone, sit
Mhm.
with someone.
Mhm.
Healing isn't a solo mission. We
Mhm.
break cycles by breaking silence. And when we choose
Oh,
healing
go
over
back and
ego,
say that again, Meeko. We break
we
cycles.
break cycles by breaking silence.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And when we choose healing over ego, we don't just save ourselves, we save our families. That's unity, that's power, that's love.
Oh, it is. Hmm.
That
It
was good.
is.
That was
Yeah,
good.
thank you so much. And I wanted a man to end it up just like that. So, to all the men who have been on with us today, listen, I have the utmost respect for y'all. I know y'all have it hard. Trust me, I'm
Mhm.
y'all's biggest cheerleader.
Mhm.
I I love y'all real deep, and I appreciate those of you who've shown up today just to have this conversation. It's the Father's Day conversation. Next week is going to be a little bit more celebratory. Thank Robert Slayter for being on. I want to thank my bestie Sonya for showing up and supporting me, and everybody who popped on today. This is just the first one, and so y'all give us a little grace. Some of the grace y'all said I didn't give y'all. Give us grace. It's gonna get better and better, and we're gonna have more open conversations. I hope that some of you all will pop on next time. You can go check me out at Billionaire Tiff. Tell me how y'all enjoyed the show today. You can go to Tiffany Parker. It's Tiffany Thompson Parker, I think, on my Facebook page, and then it's Dr. Tiffany Parker as well. And y'all just go and let me know. I'm open to hearing how I could maybe have a different perspective, how I can support you in this space so that you do feel safe, and we're gonna get these guys together and they're gonna create some safe spaces for you. We'll probably end up doing it online since you all are all over the world, but I'm looking forward to hearing the progress in this space. I hope the conversation has helped you, and I hope it's blessed you today. I'm so thankful to be able to just have a conversation with you all and just hang out with my friends. And so thanks again, Rob Slayter. Y'all look out for the Culture Commission and look out for Stand with Rob Slayter. Go to standwithrobslater.com. And then Sonya has got some exciting things coming up, and I have some the power of publicity in your business. Those workshops will be coming up, and we have the Billionaire Entrepreneurship Academy that's loading. And so you all, I'm looking forward to interacting with you. So thank you again for being here, Sonya. Go ahead and let us know what you got going on.
Right now, I'm starting to create GPT University, where I will be teaching people. It's a 6-week academy where I teach them how to create GPTs. That's dealing with artificial intelligence, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys are interested in anything like that, you can find me on Facebook. You just look up Sonya Hightower Route, or you can find me on Instagram at the Kaleidoscope Project. You'll find me there, and the information for the classes there. You can always reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help. We're gonna have a whole segment, one of these segments, where we talk about
I'm
artificial
in the
intelligence,
class. I'm in the
because
class.
that's my wheelhouse. That's what I love. So I'm gonna get you guys tech ready, because y'all better learn this artificial intelligence, because it's not gonna take your job, but somebody that know how to work it, they're gonna have you on the unemployment line. And so I'm gonna stop that from happening, because I'm gonna teach you what you need to know. So we'll be doing some things on here. We'll have some conversations where we'll talk about that stuff in the future.
Well, thank you, Sonya. I appreciate it. I'm in the class, y'all. So if y'all need to sign up, y'all better get in it, because I'm be taking y'all jobs. So I just wanted to say happy Father's Day that's coming up to all the fathers, whether you're doing it at 100% or whether you're about to hit at it, or whether this is just a conversation that'll make you go and revisit your position as a father, to go ahead and revisit your position as a parent and as a leader in the community, as a head of your family, as a godly man who is on the way to creating a legacy that your children will be proud of. Just, I hope that that's all that this conversation did, was just say, hey, I heard it today. um, I'm not gonna wait to call tomorrow. I'm gonna pick up the phone and call my kid today. No matter what the reaction is, don't worry about what the reaction or the response is. Just get the result, and the result will be that you know that you made a move in the right direction. And don't let anything stop you from doing it. Trust me. One thing you don't want your child to say years from now is that my father never tried to reach out to me. And so that's all I was trying to say, was that, I respect you as a father. God placed that seed in you for it to manifest here on this earth for a reason. And so you can never think that you're not going to be important in the life of your child, because you are. I'm sorry, you just are. And, I think that we can start breaking the cycle now. I think that that monster that you created in your head, like, they going to talk crazy about me because I'm just showing up, man, just show up. Just show up. And, um, healing starts when we stop hiding our hurt. If you need help, get it. So thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. This has been a good, great conversation on Table Talk with Tiffany. And I will see y'all next Sunday. Y'all have a blessed, beautiful, outstanding day. Have a great week. This is Pentecost Sunday. So y'all let the fire um, warm you up. I'll see y'all then. Y'all have a great day and a great week. Bye.